Right? We're back. You just never know when your last day is going to be. You might be waiting for rapture. You might be waiting for old age. I don't know. But we, as a human species, as a planet, we are in the last day. Nobody really argues that much anymore. Not even the usual ones would usually mock and say, well, people have been saying it's the end for a long, long time. Not like this. No other time have the signs, the biblical signs that we've all been waiting for, come together in mass at one time the way they have been lately. Okay. And hardly ne'er a day goes by that there isn't something dropping out of the sky or shining, just this big sign that says, hey, you need to get right with God. Things are getting heavy. All right. I'm going to welcome back Wendy and Joanna. Welcome, welcome. Oh, it's buffering. Ugh. Well, we are having some crazy weather. We did have some hail this morning here in East Texas. My head kind of looks a little cockeyed on it. Anyway, all right. So, what we are looking at is an economic crisis rising globally. Okay. Biological weapons that I'm sure were used on Southeast Texas recently, or maybe all over Texas. Biological weapons. These are the kinds of things that we're seeing along with, I don't know about y'all, but just last week there were at least 3 different weird plane crashes around the United States. 1 week. And why would that happen? Now, I'm sure that there are different reasons, but we are in a magnetic pole reversal. So you can look for electrical issues, engine issues. Those right there that have anything to do with electricity and magnetics. You're going to have planes falling out of the sky. Shoot, you could even see satellites falling out of the sky. Hello, Joseph and Debbie. Welcome back, Dia and Hipsy Gypsy and Lynn and Sherry, Judith. So glad to see everybody. That's right. Your best prep is your relationship with God first. That's right. That's exactly right. Because they are reporting food shortages again. Now, 8 years ago when I came on here, I was telling everybody. I said the food shortages are going to start happening, that we're going to have problems with Russia, problems with Mount St. Helens, problems with the Gulf of Mexico. A lot of these things you're starting to see now. Back then when I said, hey, we're in a magnetic pole reversal, people were mad at me. They're like, who are you? Yeah, who am I? Wouldn't you like to know? I'm actually pretty smart. Alrighty. But here we go. We're seeing it. Food shortages, they are back. And now they're also talking about electrical outages. Blackouts are going to start taking over. Right now, the wind outside is crazy. And there are some articles that have come out recently, like this one. Atlantic Ocean is headed for a tipping point. Once melting glaciers shut down the Gulf Stream, we would see extreme climate change within decades. Within decades? Oh gosh, no, I would bet right away. Scientists are warning of a current tipping point in the Atlantic Ocean, significant effects on the climate. You betcha. Do you know what that means? If what do they call that? It's the Gulf Stream. If it shuts down, that means that no more warm water goes to England. All that circulation of the water, it stops. And you want to talk about crazy, life-changing killer weather. That's what they're trying to tell you, that not just immediate changes of weather patterns where the Gulf Stream usually is, but it says here superstorms, abrupt climate shifts, in New York City frozen in ice. That's how the blockbuster Hollywood movie The Day After Tomorrow depicted an abrupt shutdown of the Atlantic ocean circulation and the catastrophic consequences. And I've heard this before, that the movie Day After Tomorrow wasn't that far off. It was not that far off from actually what it meant and what could actually happen. 20 years after the movie's release, we know a lot more about the Atlantic Ocean circulation. Instruments deployed in the ocean starting in '04 show that the Atlantic Ocean circulation has observably slowed over the past 2 decades, possibly to its weakest state in almost a millennium. All right, and that it's reached a dangerous tipping point. All right. Not only the Atlantic, but scientists discover an alarming change in Antarctica's past that could spell devastating future sea level rise. Told y'all to watch this year in water. Told you. Evidence from a 2,000-foot long ice core reveals that West Antarctic ice sheet shrank suddenly and dramatically around 8,000 years ago, according to new research, providing an alarming insight into how quickly Antarctic ice could melt and send sea levels soaring. And we talked about on my channel some years ago about getting away from the coast and migration away from coast because of crazy weather that's coming our way. There's a lot in my YouTube past y'all can check out. Yep, I knew this was coming. I knew it. While scientists knew the ice sheet was bigger at the end of the last ice age than today, much less was known about when exactly that shrinking happened. All right, so they're alarmed about the Atlantic, the Antarctic, as well as they've been even talking about the Pacific Ocean too. Things are sliding around underneath the feet, the tectonic plates, right? Now, this one is a weird one, okay? We've been hearing a lot about cyber havocing possibilities, and especially an uptick right now, okay? This year, they're telling us. Whether that happens or not, it's probably a pretty good chance. Yeah, it is. But you probably wouldn't suspect millions of hacked toothbrushes that be used in cyber attack. Did you hear that? Millions of hacked toothbrushes could be used in cyber attack, researchers warn. Security researchers have warned that millions of hacked toothbrushes could be used in a massive cyber attack. Internet connected toothbrushes could be linked together in something known as a botnet, which would allow them to perform a distributed denial of service attack that overloads websites and servers with huge amounts of web traffic. Major websites could be knocked offline as a result of the attack. Can you believe that? See, this is why we need everything old school. Handheld can openers, things that aren't electrical. We need to have those backup tools because you might not be able to safely brush your teeth. Now, in addition to that, we have a fungus, a deadly fungus spreading across America. Now, what's a little disturbing about this to me is that the chef died because of this fungal infection. It's like that movie Contagion or something. But when you think about people that wash their hands the most or are supposed to wash their hands the most would be among doctors, people that work in, IV bags in the pharmacies, or chefs, somebody in the food industry. You would expect them to wash their hands a lot. So the fact that he caught this, and I believe they're saying his cousin also caught it and died. Somebody's cousin did. But it says a chef in Michigan has died from a fungal infection that ravaged his body for months amid signs the strain is growing. He was taken off life support over the weekend at his own request after weeks of suffering and pain. It ate holes in his lungs. He was originally hospitalized around Thanksgiving with flu-like symptoms and transferred to a Detroit hospital for more intensive care, where he was diagnosed with blastomycosis. Blastomycosis. All right. And what are the seals? One of them was pestilence, right? One of them was for pestilence. So we're going to have to understand that whether it is man-derived or not, we're going to be dealing with things that are going to make us sick. That's good, Lynn. That's very good. Oh, Sheila, I'm so happy to see you too. Hello, Connie. Yes, this is what's been going on. This is what's been going on. Now I'm telling you, all of the places where the water are, you gotta watch all the water. I'm telling you, whether it's the Antarctic, whether it's the Pacific, whether it's the Mississippi River, better be watching that water. All right, now speaking of water, there's this article that came out. It's titled "Texas Town Exposed to High Levels of Cancer-Causing Chemicals. The Residents Had No Idea." Now, it just happens to be the area of Houston that I grew up in, the east side. Texas Town. Could Houston locals experience a higher risk for cancers over time? Recent samples have indicated that a community east of Houston has higher than average levels of benzene in the air, which has been linked to leukemia and other types of cancers. Benzene has also been linked to reproductive problems and the formation of type 2 diabetes. So, yeah, it shouldn't be that big of a surprise when you think about how bad they've, what's it called, polluted the San Jacinto River, first of all. And there's a little segment of Houston they call Pasadena, right? We nicknamed it Stina. My dad worked chemical plant, 35 years right out the Army. We went from Fort Pope to, well, at the time it was LaPorte DuPont. DuPont LaPorte is the chemical plant, but it changed names several times over the last 35 years. But you can always smell it. You can see it from your door, when they're burning off extra fumes or whatever. You can see it. So it's almost not a surprise that, oh, okay, wow, people on the east side of Houston, if you've been there, grew up there, you have a higher chance of having cancer. Neighbor brought an EMF reader and tested appliances in her house. She said her toothbrush, when plugged in and charging, had one of the strongest signals. Isn't that something? Mm. Mm-mm-mm. All right. All right. So you have to be extra super careful. And not to mention the sun this summer, it's not just going to be hot, but it's going to be the kind that can give you cancer. I'm telling you, when your magnetic shields are down, when you're getting earthquake lights and sprites over Houston, and earthquakes right off the coast of Florida, earthquakes in Louisiana, think about that. Things are getting through that don't normally get through. It's dangerous. People can tell you right now, son, when I was a kid, don't look the same. It does not feel the same as in the 80s. It sure don't. All right, so we do have those planes crashing, food shortages, rivers drying. That's affecting shipping also. But sinkholes. Another one was it popped up in Florida with a bus recently. Sinkholes are going to be a problem because the ground is moving underneath, okay? These are the things that you're going to continue to hear in the news because it's like somebody's wringing our planet out, all right? What other problems can you have in the Pacific and the Atlantic? Tsunami. Those are prophesied by quite a few people. I personally saw the Gulf of Mexico come up in, but anywhere can be a problem. Anywhere. If you're around water, okay? What God is saying to the world is that we are under judgment. But it just so happens that when we go talking about judgment, there seems to be a particular bullseye on America right now, right? Especially everybody's talking about this eclipse that's coming up, and they should. And where does it happen? X, right over the New Madrid Fault, where I've been telling you the problems with the New Madrid are coming from the Gulf. It has 3 arms, one that goes through the Carolinas, one up the New Madrid, and another one through Texas, Shreveport going on up. There's 3 different arms. So the fact that you've been seeing earthquakes in those areas, all 3, lets you know that the Gulf is very, very active. It's hard to see what's going on down there, but if you know how to read the signs, you can tell. All right. So yeah, along the Gulf Coast, don't be surprised if you keep seeing sinkholes. All right. And not only that, another Bible prophecy said there would be wars and rumors of wars. We've got so many wars and rumors of wars that they're coming out with movies called Wars and Rumors of Wars and Civil War, Left Behind. We know what we're heading towards. We know that we have got to straighten up, but we won't. We won't. We won't. The righteous will be righteous still, and the unrighteous will wax worse and worse. So what you think is crazy now, hold on to your horses. Alrighty. In fact, I still can't believe my eyes and ears. Our own president is at war with the United States people. How could any president turn on its own people like that and think it's okay? Seriously? Our border is wide open. And it's no wonder you have sheriffs calling for their citizens to be armed and ready. And you know that wasn't just for his county or his state. No, 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 no. We all felt that speech, didn't we? And I'll tell you, that's another thing I was telling people over the years since I started this channel. I said, one day we're going to get invaded. Nobody wanted to hear that. Did they? No. That'll never happen. Oh, we'll be raptured first. Let me ask you this about rapture. I mean, let's use some common sense here. Do you really think God's going to rapture the whole world because the United States is in trouble? No. You only think that if you're arrogant, because the United States is not the center of the universe. It's not the center of prophecy. The United States messed up. The United States is headed for judgment. Whether God's completely done with the U.S. or not, I don't know. But I know right now we are not in a happy place with him. You understand? Do you really think that God would rapture the whole world? You got to stop and ask, what would God rapture the whole world for? You know, his people. If something was going on with the whole world, not just America. So if you think that you're going to get saved before an invasion or something, I mean, rapture could happen at any time, but if you're thinking it'll happen because America's going to, no, I wouldn't. Judgment is on America. Our borders are wide open. Our own president is against us. He is leaving us sitting ducks. He doesn't like us. And people are scared. And they should be. And that's why they're looking for rapture. But I tell you what, excuse me, hold on a second. God can call you for any reason, anytime. I could have been dead just a couple of days ago. Just from the seizure, it could have killed me. You never know. So I hope you're ready. What does that tell you when somebody is saying, be armed and ready? Yeah, well, I know that as far as the Civil War thing goes, I just know that it was supposed to be a thing in last days, as well as brother against brother kind of thing. Yep. 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 And that's another thing people are saying. Year of the Dragon, 2024. Next year, it's the reveal. That's what 2025 is supposed to be about. The reveal. I'll tell you what, there's only one thing that would mean that, and that's the apocalypse. So no matter what the news is you're hearing, they're all signs of the end. But it's almost as though we're waiting for the other shoe to drop. We're seeing those signs in the sun, moon, and the stars. We're seeing that eclipse is coming. And that eclipse, okay, it says in Jewish tradition, a total solar eclipse is a warning to the Gentiles and a sign of judgment on the nations. That's what a solar eclipse means to the Jews. A total solar eclipse is a warning to the Gentiles and a sign of judgment. What were you just talking about? And the X is right over the New Madrid in America. Now, in order, I hate these seizures. Sometimes I have them. Warning to the Gentiles. Hate it when I do that. Okay. So this right here is a bad omen for the United States. What have we been saying is going to happen? We're going to get invaded. We're going to get some tsunamis, at least one from the Gulf. I know that. I know that our land is supposed to be divided. So the question is, who's going to try to divide the land of Israel? Who is going to cause God to become so angry in the near future by dividing the land of Israel? Who's going to do it? Is it going to be Biden? Or is it going to be the next president that comes in? Because it can't be that much longer. We can't wait forever. I know that's kind of one of the things we're waiting on, is for somebody to try to divide that land, because it opens us up to invasion. And signs like this in the sky tells us it's got to be close. It's got to be. All right, everybody's looking at the high holidays. Have you ever noticed things really happen on the high holidays? Not really. But we're also hearing the connection a lot with Esther. We keep hearing Esther. Esther is someone who served as a bridge during a time of trouble. And we're looking for someone, an Esther, to come in, and they're connecting it with the Revelation 12 signs. They're even saying that the same moons and eclipses that were happening when Esther was alive are happening again today, in our days right now. We're also seeing false teachers and false prophets. So what are we waiting for? It's crazy. It seems to be taking forever, but this is what we're waiting on. We are waiting for a complete collapse of our economy. We are waiting for somebody to try to divide that land. We are waiting to be judged here in America, division of our land and an invasion. We're waiting for a third temple to be built in Israel. Despite us being the temple, there are blueprints for a building. Okay? We are waiting for rapture. We are waiting for Antichrist, the Antichrist, which a lot of people, they're like, okay, it's this guy, it's that guy. I don't know why there's such a huge difference. Maybe I come from a Mandela parallel universe or something, but I grew up being taught that the Antichrist, is Middle Eastern. So when y'all say Trump or Prince William, I'm like, no, I automatically don't believe that. I was taught that he was Assyrian, like from Micah chapter 5. We're waiting on the beast system that we actually see coming together now through AI and quantum computing. All right. But right now, what are the signs pointing to? The apocalypse. A lot of people say, oh, we know everything there is to know. Oh, really? Tell me what the seven thunders uttered. Please tell me what they uttered that was sealed up until the end. Please tell me. Okay, then there's something that God has to say to us. I think that it's premature for anybody to say that they know everything God has to say, especially for our time. That there isn't something more that he couldn't have put aside with big old words like apocalypse, the removing of a veil. All right. So what's interesting about the times that we're coming upon is all these calendars people make, all these charts that people make, all these interpretations that people make. It's going to be put to the test soon. We're going to see just how smart you really were. Yep, we've got the Devil's Comet. I've been hearing about that and said something about its track does a 666, the way it loop-de-loops. Right. Esther stood in the gap. That's right. But if we have an Esther, we'd have to find out, what is Esther saving us from? Who is she saving it from? See, we don't know the answer to that yet. We just know that when the time comes, we need an Esther. Yeah, things won't happen like people think unless God has personally given you insight. Then no. It's your best guess. It really is. See, a lot of people, they talk about Revelation 12, and it's always been the key. The church will say, oh, it's us. That's about to be put to the test. Mother Mary, it's about to be put to the test. I'm telling you, all this argument's going to stop. All right. Now, so we have an apocalypse. We have Judgment Day coming. We have a third temple, and that's a lot of stuff coming in our future. That means we're gonna survive. The United States getting invaded and tsunamis. We're gonna survive that. A lot of us, not everybody, obviously, but we're gonna get through that. There's time. There's still time. Things that have to happen. Boy, you better hold on to your hats. And when they say we're at the end of the church age, do you know what that means? Do you understand what that means? It means that there won't be any more church because Jesus will be with everybody already. Everything is changing. Everything is ending. We're moving into the age of Aquarius, whatever that means. What it really means is the next set of 2,000 years-ish, okay? After 2,000 years, it would be the age of Capricorn. That's how it goes. We're just moving into this age space-wise, the age of Aquarius. But it's still, even an eclipse like the one we're experiencing is about transformation. Everything is changing. You won't be able to recognize life from when you were young, maybe even from day to day. So what should we be doing while we're waiting for all this? Do I think we're getting raptured anytime soon? Not really. That's my personal thoughts. No, there's too much that's got to go on personally, and it's taking a really long time. It's like kind of going in slow motion almost. You see like a lot happening, but some of these things, it's like That green mile seems really long sometimes. Will the whole East Coast be in the tsunami? Well, that's what I've heard. You'd have to look up some of these visions, but I mean, a lot of cities on these coasts are going to be bombed too. Bombed. Yeah. I think that the only thing that we really can do in these times, besides pay attention to what's going on around us and be able to recognize those signs, is A, not get too freaked out day by day, one, but to love each other as hard as we can, as much as we can, while we still have time left. That we represent properly the kingdom of God, and that's not pushing ourselves on other people, fighting, arguing, all these little things that people do. It's got to stop. We've got to live every day like it's our last day. Because I'm telling you, time's going to keep going. You're going to reach the end of this year. You're going to reach the end of next year, unless you die, which you could. Who knows? An asteroid could just fall right out the sky. Boom. You never know. You just don't know, right? I saw that just a couple days ago. Anything can happen at any time. If you knew it was the last days of your life, what would you do different? Have you ever been asked that before? Have you ever thought about actually putting that into motion? All the things that you hadn't said, all the things you hadn't done, all the people you hadn't forgiven. What more could we have done? And I think that's where, and I'm not talking about getting to heaven by works. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about if you could go down like a boss, how would you do it? This is it. We don't know. We don't know when we're going to have our last breath, but we know the stars are going to fall out the sky. We know the water's going to come up out the banks. We know countries are going to invade ours. What are we going to do in the meantime? What are we going to do despite? Because there's only one thing we can control, and that's what we do, what we think, how we treat each other. Because we're going to keep seeing those things in the news. And that's really all I can do. That's really all anybody can do is say, hey, you see that? There's another one. Yep. Hello, Cowboys 8, Clarissa and Jennifer. Yep. I've heard California will break off. See, a lot of people don't talk about the Gulf of Mexico, but there have been people besides me. If y'all don't just trust me, that's cool. I'm not the only one who's mentioned it. I'm telling you, Texas, Gulf of Mexico, watch out. There will be a tsunami over that peace deal. I promise you that. Time of the Gentiles is almost up. That's right. Now, the Jews were cursed for crucifying Christ, but they were up for redemption in the last day. At some point, the Jews are going to realize in Israel that they crucified Christ. And I think some of those signs are starting to happen even now. Right? These are the days. These are the days. I want to let all of you know, just thank you so much for all of your prayers and all of your love. I don't know what I would do without it. I don't. I really don't. I just love you guys. And I'm very grateful that God put us together and has made us a family. Because it's easier when you're together. Oh, thank you, Sherry. God bless you. Thank you so much. God bless all of you. Thank you for everything that you do to continuously support my family in this work. Oh, God knows we need each other, right? Yes, yes. And I think that the time of miracles is going to return soon, or if it's not now. But we got to believe. We got to be ready to see what it is God is really ready to show us, because I know those times are on us too. It's all coming together. It's all coming together. We're in the last days. You can look up, keep praying, but this is it. All right? Don't let any time slip by. Let every minute count from now on, when you wake up in the morning till you go to bed. All right? I love you guys so, so much. I'm going to go ahead and get off the horn for now. And hopefully, I won't be having any more seizures anytime soon. All right? And that no matter what, we end up upstairs together when it's all said and done. All right? Life is hard. Dying is easy, I'm telling you. The fact that I'm here is a miracle. The fact that you're here is a miracle. And remember that, okay? I love you guys. God bless you. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.